Adoption doesn't come automatically by just building a great product, especially in healthcare, in a brownfield industry.
Today, Bridge is joining us. He is the co-founder and CEO of Spry, creator of Rehab Therapy's first full integrated AI-powered EMR platform.
And if 15 to 20% of your patients can be upsold, then you can actually make a much healthier margin, right? So how do you then imbibe yourself at the center of movement, center of orthopedic care?
Welcome to Provider's Edge, where healthcare leaders and innovators learn how to scale smarter, lead stronger, and create lasting impact. As health and wellness entrepreneurs, many of us are frustrated by documentation overload, billing headaches, staff burnout, and technology that creates more work instead of less. In today's episode, Brijraj Bhuptani shares why adoption instead of innovation is often the biggest challenge in healthcare. Whether you're running a practice or building a technology company, you'll learn how to reduce friction, improve patient experience, automate operations, and create workflows that help your team focus on what matters most, delivering better care. Previously, he co-founded Radar, acquired by Ola, where he later served as the CTO. Bri is also being held the engineering role at Qualcomm and Sear India, driving innovations across technology and healthcare. Now, we know anytime that we're building technology, sometimes the hardest thing is adoption, getting people to actually use it, because technology can be the best thing. But if we're having challenges if the clinicians are not able to adapt, then we run into the issue of we build something amazing, but how come? Right? People are not using it. So I know that's something that you have spent many years because you've been in multiple CTO roles. So what do you feel like it is the challenge when people are building technology, especially for Spry in that rehabilitation space, that perhaps they're thinking a little too technical, but not having the therapist keeping their workflow in mind?
Awesome. Hi, Sabrina. Nice to meet you, and thanks for having me over. Right, and that's a great first question because it's relatively easy to build products, especially today in the age of AI. And any founder who builds a product thinks they have the best product, and rightly so, right? And the product is better. Every product that comes out is obviously better than the previous incarnation of the product, right? But what people forget is, for you as a founder, that's the first product. You are on day zero. But when you go and deploy it at a clinic, which is already running, it's not day zero for them, right? They have a patient case load which they are running, and there are patients who are in the middle of care, right? They are used to a certain style of working, and your software is not their job. It is a means to the end. The end is actually getting a patient well, right? So if you are going to plug yourself into them, into their regular lives and daily lives, you have to think about making it more less friction. You have to reduce the friction, make it more seamless, right? And that's what we at Spry have learned over a period of time. It's not that everyone loved Spry, right? I was with a call with one of the clinics yesterday. He said, we saw you 3 years back and we loved you at that time. Also, we love you today. But that time we just gone through a transition and we can't go through a transition again. But what we have done at Spry to make it seamless for clinics is two things. One is we understand what the current workflows are. We understand how they do things today. And we try to configure Spry so that it matches closely, resembles what they do today. So the learning curve is very, very minimal, right? They get all the modern capabilities that Spry has to provide, but they also have the familiarity of what they were using. So it's not a steep learning curve, etc. Right? So we do that. And Spry has given our technology prowess, we've built in a way that Spry can configure. Right? It's not a one-fit-all solution. It can adapt to your clinics. If you're doing vestibular, it's a different workflow. If you're doing pelvic floor, different workflow. You come from University A, it's a different workflow, right? So you tell us how your workflow is, or you show us how your workflow is, and we are able to configure it. We are able to adapt it, right? So there is a familiarity. The second thing we do fairly well is bring over all the data, right? I think, as I said, this is not like one and done exercises. Patients have been coming to them for years. There are there is tribal knowledge of how the clinic runs built into the software. So all of that is something we bring over from the existing software into Spry. And then, so when they go on Spry on day one, they essentially see all of that ready, right? So they don't have to do the administrative work all over again, and they can start treating patients. So one thing we take a lot of pride in, that most of the clinics we go live with, they don't have to take a day off to start Spry. They don't have to reduce the appointment volume. And from the clinic owner's perspective, right, this is revenue, this is money. You don't document your encounters, you don't build them out, you lose cash flow, you lose revenue. So we make sure that the setup, the billing setup, the RCM setup is all ready before they go live. so they can start sending out claims on day zero, right? So these are some of the challenges which someone does not see on the outside, because this is not marketed, this is not what you see on the product, but this is what we have to do alongside building a great product to make sure there is adoption, right? Adoption doesn't come automatically by just building a great product, especially in healthcare, in a brownfield industry.
Yeah, what do you feel like are some of the therapists being communicating with you guys from the challenges they're seeing on a daily basis in terms of using different technology that not really quite fitting their workflow, that you guys were able to build something very specific to help them overcome those challenges?
Yeah, I think I use a word called information asymmetry, right? I think the process, there's now, if all the therapists had to do, see a patient, write a letter and hand it over to them, and their job was done, that's easy. But that's not how it works, right? You have to understand what the patient, because we get paid by the insurance company. So you want to understand what the insurance coverage is, right? Whether there is any requirement from the insurance company before you see the patient, right? And then you have to document the encounter. You have to document in a way that the insurance understands it, or they have some guidelines for that, and then you have to bill it out, and the billing guidelines are also different depending on the insurance. So while you as a therapist have gone to school, learned how to treat patients, there is so much that you have to learn. You have to learn about the intake side of it, like which insurance the patient can move, what is the coverage, and then you have to learn on the output side of it, like you did a bill the claim. They call it asymmetry. There is a therapist, but there is a clinical administrative team, and there is a billing team. Now there's a lot of information asymmetry which resulted in a lot of back and forth. For example, I didn't read the right codes. It would go to the billing team would send it back to me. So I as a therapist have to redo all the work, right? Or I saw a patient who did not have coverage. Now the front office did not tell me that. What Spry does, so this is one of the biggest frustrations therapists had. Therapists love treating patients, therapists love doing this, right? But they could not get this right because there was so much information asymmetry. They did not have so much of the information. What Spry does is stitches it all together. You see what the front office has to show you, you have that in front of you, and there are billing guidelines which are there inside. So it actually helps you take care of the patient and not worry about all of these things. These things are automated or brought in front of your face so that you can take on that action, right? So the biggest frustration therapists had is that I have to treat patients, but why do I have to deal with everything else around it? And I'm seeing 7, 8, 9 patients, right? So I have to go back and forth 7, 8, 9 times with this side of the equation, and I have to go 7, 8, 9 times with this side of the equation, which is very, very frustrating. I understand. And that is one of the biggest complaints that's resulted in more burnout than actually seeing more patients.
Exactly. It's that documentation part of most EHR system are simply just for us to say what happened to the patient, what are their past medical history, what concerns we have, and then we have to then prove that we did the work that we have provided for these patients. And that makes it challenging because the documentation part, if we're not coding it correctly, I remember back in the day where the coders, when we do in hospital discharge and procedure, they're like, what do you mean by this, right? Or you didn't specific this disease for this subset of what it is, right? And so that causes so much confusion. We're just like, well, I seen a patient maybe weeks ago, right? The only thing I remember is based on my documentation. So it causes a lot of headaches for people to say, well, if you didn't document correctly, you didn't build it. You're not getting paid. And then patient got frustrated because they thought, oh, okay, I only have this bill for this way. Now all of a sudden then you're changing and you're charging me more. We're charging you differently. And it just gave you an icky feeling for really the entire system. So knowing the suggestion from the EHR system based on how you document, what are the resources there, so they can actually click through, because it's an intelligent suggested organized way, it makes everyone to be in more of a peace of mind for clinicians to feel like they're honored for the time they spend, and then they're not going back digging around the data of how do you code this, how do you build this. And then for patients,
Exactly.
they're also peace of mind, right? They're also feeling like, oh, you didn't just jip me. I came in, right? I'm not feeling well. I'm here to heal. And then now I have all these bills around me, right? So when we're so clear on the expectation, what it is, and not going back and forth, it becomes such a much more of a smoother relationship and not just have to dealing with billing. So now tell us.
That's an important point, right? Just sorry. But I think it's besides the financial part of it, right? The relationship improves. What we have seen in clinics where Spry operates, the relationship between the therapist and the front desk improves because there's less friction. Now the therapist is not worried about writing a note. So they're actually connecting with the patient. They're looking into the eye, right? They're talking to the patient, they're listening to them, and not worried, oh, I have to write this, I have to write this, right? And that improves the relationship. So that improves patient outcomes because patient feels better and they come back to the treatment, right? So it's just not about the financial outcome. That's important, and that's you need to keep the lights on, but it also improves the relationship. The patient feels better, the overall environment in the clinic is better, the therapies feel better, the burnout automatically reduces.
One thing I really appreciated from my conversation with Bridge is reminder. Building great technology is not enough. If your solution disrupts a clinician's workflow, adoption becomes an uphill battle. We talked about why therapists don't want more systems to manage. They want less friction. The biggest win happens when technology fits naturally into the way people already work, reduces administrative burden, and helps providers spend more time focused on patients instead of paperwork. If you're listening and you are a clinician, an industry expert, or established founder shaping the future of women's health, longevity, mental health, and other health innovations, if you have a proven expertise and meaningful result leading a company generating at least $1 million in revenue, then we would love to hear your perspective. Apply to be a featured speaker on Provider's Edge and share your insight. Go to theprovidersedge.com because you definitely need to be the forefront to champion what you are able to do in the health wellness space. And we are so grateful for you to be on our show that's ranked top 100 in Apple Podcasts for entrepreneurship and top 1% globally of all shows. Correct. That's the success story you want people to hear, right? And then you also want people, that's a word of mouth way of how they're going to leave good reviews on Google, on any of the reviews of medical grades. And then they're going to tell their family and friends how much they're able to improve and the whole entire system, the experience, right? We always talk about this customer journey. It's because if we don't think about how when people walk through the door of the practice, your front desk has to behave in a certain way to make them feel welcomed, to make them feel understood. You understand their pain, their struggle, and then you also help them guide this journey to have received treatment. And after treatment, yes, we all have to honor each other for the work that's been done. So you, whether that's insurance sets, cash pay, or whatnot, and then that become a full circle, right? Make people feel heard, seen, understood, and then it's transparent. Then it doesn't feel like, oh, you guys don't know how to do billing. Now you're trying to bill me more than what it is, right? Which we see that over and over again. It's not even just in rehab, it's in surgery, it's in inpatient, outpatient, it's everywhere. So what do you feel like it is the future of rehabilitation operation and what the clinic leader should really be prepared for?
I think rehab is in an interesting place, right? It's very fascinating place. The need for rehab is only growing, right? The number of people seeking physical therapy, the number of people seeking strength and conditioning is only going to grow, right? But at the same time, there are headwinds as well. There are some pressures, whether reimbursement continues to decline or there is shortage of therapists to cater to this growing demand, etc. But if you ask me as a founder and a businessman, I'm not a therapist. I would any day be in an industry which has growing demand. Right? And I take the example of Google, for example. Google sold its primary product, which is search, for free, but they capitalize on the demand in various ways. Right? So there is demand, and when you have demand and you're smart and innovative, you will always find a way to make money. Right? So the physical therapy of the future will have to think like a business person. We'll have to think of easy way, right? Gone are the days when you can just do one-to-one care, 1 hour, and then you will make money, right? That's not going to happen. I think few things. I think a future of physical therapy which is very, very evident is one is that you will have to automate a lot of your work, right? I think focus on patient care. Physical therapy treats any physical therapist working full time would treat anywhere from 8 to 12 patients a day. That's a huge amount of caseload, right? And if you have to go a lot of back and forth, if your things are not automated, you won't be able to do that. Your margins are thin because your reimbursements are lower, right? So you will have to automate. You cannot afford, unfortunate, but you cannot afford to have a lot of non-clinical staff, right? And you will have to have either AI do that work or the technology do that work. So you can spend that money on your therapists and they can bring more therapists back to the patient, right? Physical therapy is interesting, right? It's not sitting in isolation, right? You work with an orthopedic clinic, you can do that, right? Once you get physical therapy, you can work with the strength and conditioning center. So how do you then imbibe yourself at the center of movement, center of orthopedic care is another important thing, right? Some of the clinics that we work with who do really well are the ones who are directly partnering with ortho clinics, right? The orthopedic firms and whenever there's surgery. So have more of those partnerships, right? Have more of those relationships. That's another thing. So you don't have to worry about patient caseload at that time. The other set of clinics we're doing, they're giving ancillary services. They're giving massage, they're giving therapy, right? I think other therapy, because patients want that. Patients want to take care of the bodies as well. So that's another thing to do that. So think of insurance as a lead generation mechanism, and then you upsell the other services, right? You have to re-innovate. You have to rethink the business model. There is definitely demand, and if 15 to 20% of your patients can be upsold, then you can actually make a much healthier margin, right? So automate it, figure out your lead sources, right? Have a established you, so you don't have to spend crazy amount of money on marketing. You can retain patients for longer, and then I think figure out what you can upsell to them, right? Because physical therapy is not very different from physical wellness, where people are willing to spend money, and we've seen the likes of Brian Johnson, etc., setting an example for that, right? So I think this is what I think is the future of physical rehab, where just one-on-one care might not cut it unless you are like especially good, but not for everyone. But I think you'll have to rethink how you do your ways of doing business and look at upselling other services along the way.
Exactly. It's all about what I talk about in the past years. We always have thinking about the model of business referral model, right? That's what medicine is used for. You are physical therapy or your family medicine, you refer to a physical therapist, right? Or physical therapy, refer to a chiropractor, refer to a acupuncture, refer to a massage therapist, instead of how do you combine different services into one piece and then embed it into what business we know is called upsell, right? And we're saying that people coming in for one reason, but they actually need an extension of XYZ. So if you have the convenience of having XYZ already being part of your service package, then it's much easier to grow bigger, and you're helping your collaborative business partner already working together simultaneously. And when you mention about automation, it's so true, right? We also talk about for Spry is to documentation, collecting, better building. Then we usually also talk to people about what are the best patient engagement tools, what's the HIPAA compliant CRM system, so you can keep bringing patient back to you, ask about what they're feeling, how they're engaging. Otherwise, some people have one or two treatment, they forget to come back, even though they really should be
Exactly.
doing 10 packages, right? So it's about using these different automated tools to send reminders, the text message. Many people do have that. But what they're missing is that once people leave your office, they forgot or they didn't book that follow-up call, there's no automation to re-engage with them. And that's where you lose a lot of these income and generation. So having tools by adapting Spire, helping you guys to actually work easier, not spend so much time on documentation, having better engagement when they're there, that's amazing. And then it's about thinking bigger, right? Like Bridge is talking about, like the next level of collaborative business model to put all this together. Now, we are so excited for you to share all this. And then usually one of the fun question I like to ask is, if we give you a magic wand, the magic wand grant you 3 wishes to help you to get the word out to a lot more rehabilitation physical therapists out in the world, what would you use the 3 magic wands for?
I didn't think of it that way, but that's an exciting question. I think, let first is I would like to get everyone to hear about the stories, right? Like to get 10 therapists in a room, and they come, and I want every therapist in the world. I would want attend a round table or a webinar, whatever you call it, right? Or a podcast with you. I don't know, but I would want every therapist in the world to come and attend that, right? I would love to for them to come and attend that and see how it's making a difference to the happy therapist. How there's the different way of doing things, right? Second wish could be that everyone is open to trying out new stuff, right? Spend some time on a weekend. I know it's not you don't become a therapist to play with different software, but it's a essential part of your job, right? You try out different software, see how it's making a difference, do before and after comparison. A third is I want therapists to work full day without thinking about insurance. I think that's my third wish. I would use the magic wand to actually do that.
That's amazing because you can definitely do some of that, right? Like getting the group of medical liaisons and then the brightest thinkers, then push the boundary people, right, in the forefront of change, and then understanding what they want and then improving the systems and technologies around them. Made just for that, and which is amazing mission that you guys have as Spray. We're so excited for you to share this. For anybody who's listening and watching, we wanted you to also share with us, have you been seeing the EHR system that you have that have already built in the AI intelligence, or what other tools that you're existing using in your practice are trying to fit into your workflow, not someone else's workflow? And how can you, if you're especially in that rehabilitation space, be able to expand? One of my biggest takeaway from this part of our conversation is that the future of healthcare practices isn't just about seeing more patients. It is about building smarter business models. Brijraj shared why automation, strategic partnership, and additional services offering are becoming essential as reimbursement pressures continue to grow. I also love his challenge for us to think beyond traditional referrals and start creating more connected patient experience that improves outcome while building a healthier, more sustainable practice. For all of the visionaries out there listening, you have an idea, you have a startup, you have an innovation that could change the healthcare dynamic. Bring it to hot or not. You get to have 2 minutes to pitch your idea in front of our investors, clinicians, operators, and other founders. Then the audience weighs in. Is it hot, a solution the market wants, or is not? The concept needs more validation. And we really also help you to reposition yourself in this 2 minutes to best convey your message, to be a need, the true necessity, not just good to have. Known also as pitch to yes, this is your opportunity to pressure test your message, get real feedback, and potentially connect to partners, customers, and investors. Submit your pitch at pitchtoyes.com and join us for this monthly virtual event because great ideas deserve honest feedback. And definitely find a Brijraj and have a conversation with him. What's the best way for people to contact you?
I think LinkedIn, I'm very active on LinkedIn, Brijraj Bhuptani. Go to sprypt.com, fill out the demo request form. I monitor each and every lead that comes through. I have weekly sales reviews. So yeah, I'm a very accessible person. I reply to most of my messages on LinkedIn, as long as they're not solicitation, but they're meaningful conversations. And then yeah, I am monitoring all the leads, and yeah, there are many multiple ways to reach out to me.
Awesome. And then we hope everyone have an active conversation because at the end of the day, it's not about producing new solution software just for the heck of creating new things. It's really about how do we help ourselves to make things much easier to connect with patients and make them feel more seen and understood. So everybody be able to change healthcare in a positive light. Today's discussion challenged a common assumption in healthcare. That assumption being better technology automatically leads to better results. Brijraj showed us that real innovation happens when technology reduces friction, supports the way clinicians already work, and creates a better experience for both providers and patients. From lowering administrative burden to rethinking business model and automation, this discussion highlights what it takes to build healthcare organizations that are more efficient, profitable, and focused on delivering exceptional care. Here are the 5 key lessons that we learned today. Number 1, best technology doesn't win. The most adaptable technology does. Healthcare providers do not buy software because it has the most features. They adapt solutions that fit naturally into their existing workflow. The less disruption during implementation, the higher the likelihood of long-term success. Number 2, clinician burnout is often caused by information gaps, not patient care. Therapists love treating patients. What frustrates them is a constant switching between documentation, insurance requirements, billing corrections, and administrative tasks. Reducing information asymmetry allows clinicians to focus on patient outcomes instead of operational chaos. Number 3, automation is becoming a survival strategy, not a luxury. As reimbursement rates continue to decline and staffing shortages persist, clinics must automate repeatedly administrative work. Technology and AI should handle operational tasks so clinicians can spend more time delivering care. Number 4, health practices must think beyond traditional referral methods. The future belongs to practices that build strategic partnership and integrate services. Combining physical therapy, wellness, strength conditioning, recovery services, and patient engagement tools creates a more sustainable business model while improving patient outcome. Number 5, building patient experience drives better clinical and financial outcome. When clinicians spend less time documenting and more time connecting with the patient, trust improves. Better relationships lead to stronger treatment adherence, better outcomes, increasing retention, positive review, and healthier revenue stream. We have so many different ways that has been supporting the referral process of how to show up in patient intelligence platform that's already collecting patient data, analyzing what they're missing, and suggesting where other subspecialty clinicians should show up in their patient care, as well as diagnostics, peptide, functional environment. Now, since you listened to this conversation, got me thinking, what happens after a diagnostic solution reaches the healthcare system? How are we truly creating interdisciplinary care? We have another episode for you. Check out how virtual care keeps patients inside healthcare system with Michael Dalton, where we explore how integrated virtual care model can reduce fragmentation, strengthen patient engagement, improve access, and keep patients connected to a coordinated healthcare system. Links are in the show note below. Thank you for listening. Remember, the positive change we're seeking starts right here with me and you. If you are a fan of the show, or if you are just having struggles or success that you're either experienced in the past or are experiencing now in the healthcare industry, these matter to all of us. I want to hear from you. Visit sabrinarumback.com/connect and send me a direct message. Talk soon! and definitely find a bridge and have a conversation with him. What's the best way for people to contact you?
I think LinkedIn, I'm very active on LinkedIn, Brijraj Bhuptani. Go to sprypt.com, fill out the demo request form. I monitor each and every lead that comes through. I have weekly sales reviews. So yeah, I'm a very accessible person. I reply to most of my messages on LinkedIn, as long as they're not solicitation, but they're meaningful conversations. And then yeah, I am monitoring all the leads, and yeah, there are many multiple ways to reach out to me.
Awesome. And then we hope everyone have an active conversation, because at the end of the day, it's not about producing new solution software just for the heck of creating new things. It's really about how do we help ourselves to make things much easier to connect with patient and make them feel more seen and understood. So everybody be able to change healthcare in a positive light. Until next time, thanks guys.
Thank you. Great meeting you.